Hey guys, Willie here. Hope you enjoyed that clip there. I'm excited to bring you today's video. Today's video is AP full itemization guide. If you guys did not see my video last week, we actually made an AD Udyr itemization guide. I got a ton of great feedback. A lot of you guys have been asking for the AP equivalent. A couple things I want to mention up front. Number one, this is not a tank video. We will be making a third follow-up video called Tank Itemization. All right, this is the AP hard carry, Deathcap, Fiddlesticks. Literally, you're playing like Fiddlesticks, right? So AP Udyr is very similar to Fiddlesticks. One thing I also want to stress too, let's go ahead and just pull it up. Why not? I am playing this at 200 LP Masters, okay? We got a lot of people in my videos who are like, Willie, you don't actually play this in high elo. I'm building Shadow Flame and Deathcap almost every game at 200 LP Masters. When I say I have playtested a lot of items and I have figured out finally what works, I wouldn't be making this video unless I had, some proof in the pudding there. This video is broken into two segments. The first segment is going to be quickly running through all the items on a tier graph, kind of like we did last week. Back into the video, we're actually going to give you guys itemization build pass. Depending on the jungle matchup, I tend to itemize one way or the other. If you guys just want to skip around to get to the part that you're interested in, the idea is this is a full itemization guide and you'll have it all in one place in one video that you can easily reference in the future. Let's go ahead and jump on in now.
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for you.
All right, guys, just like last week, this is going to be super simple. These are just the items we're going to go through. Once again, this is the AP Udyr video. I'm not making a tank video. The only really tank item we'll be going over is Abyssal Mask. There's going to be 5 categories. You've got core / build 3 of these every game. If you see it in this top category, in my opinion, you should be putting at least 3 of those items in your build, no matter what build you do. You can always, substitute other items in, but pick 3. Strong substitute flex is the next category down. This means you can put these in for the top category if you want. So, for instance, spoiler alert, I'm going to put Lich Bane in this category. Lich Bane is a great example of an item that you can make a build around, but usually you're not building it every game. You can, however, make an entire build around it, and it will work. Game reliant usually means they better have a team comp where the item is specifically really good into their team. Otherwise, it's usually not worth your time to build. Bad idea means exactly what it sounds. I'm not going to recommend these items to you. Don't build means just please do not build them. It's a waste of gold and time and LP and all that. So before we jump in, I'm also going to give you, in my opinion, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert, but this is the holy grail to the formula for AP Udyr, okay? So as we go through these items, I want you to keep in mind, I've done a lot of play testing. I've tested a lot of items. If you're asking me, WilliefknP, 200 LP Masters full damage Udyr player, what I think the best AP build is, the core items, you're going to see Leandre's Deathcap and Shadow Flame. Those are essentially static in every single build I do. Even if I delay a Deathcap, even if I build Shadow Flame last, whatever, these 4 items are always core for me. And then you've got a magic pen item slot, and then you've also got a utility item slot, right? What do I mean by magic pin? It's either going to be Abyssal Mask, Void Staff, Crypt Bloom, something that gives you a lot of magic pin to deal with anybody that builds magic resist, or if they start getting pretty high in levels, their base magic resist will get high enough to where it'll stop you from being able to one-shot them unless you build a magic pin item. And then your last item slot is either going to be Zenos, Malignant, some sort of utility item. It doesn't really matter. Riftmaker can go here. But that is kind of how to build AP Udyr. So as we go through this list, keep in mind that, in my opinion, is your golden formula for playing AP Udyr. Once again, AP Udyr is very similar to Fiddlesticks, so we're itemizing very similar to Fiddlesticks or a true carry because we can 1v5. Udyr's R does more damage than Fiddlesticks ult late game. It is just insane, and in my opinion, you should be playing it because it's extremely fun. So let's go ahead and go through these. Abyssal Mask is going to go under core right now. If the enemy team has any magic damage, or alternatively, if your team has any magic damage, this item not only makes you tanky, but it gives you a 30% magic pen buff. If you need a magic pen item for this, once again, your 5th magic pen slot, you can look at Abyssal Mask almost every single game and build it, and you'll be okay. Obviously, certain team comps, if they have no magic damage and your team has no magic damage, like both teams are pretty AD heavy, then Void Staff tends to be the better option of the two. But in my opinion, Abyssal Mask, 2,500 gold. This is a core item right now. It is insanely good. Even on damage Udyr, this is still even though this is a tank item, it's still a damage item, right? Banshees is a bad idea for me. In my opinion, it's not good. Even into high magic damage dealing team comps, I would rather have Abyssal Mask. No, it's not a don't build. Yes, you can build this item and still make it work. But in my humble opinion, if you just get Merc Treads plus Abyssal Mask, you're going to be plenty tanky to magic damage, and this, in my opinion, is just a bad idea. Blackfire Torch is a bad idea, in my opinion. I have played a lot of games with this item. I can't seem to get it to work. It's not an item reliant. Like, it just literally is a bad idea. Other items outperform it, and it has to do with how you play as Udyr. So you're a very bursty champion. You're not a DPS champion. And also, we don't have a ton of movement speed like Lily and other champions. We're not a Karthus that can just press R and kill everybody, you know. It just doesn't work as well in Udyr. Yes, it's a really good item, but it's not, you know, obviously game-breaking on our champion. They're just better items. Cosmic Drive is actually going to go into strong substitute. Is it a core item? No. But for 3,000 gold, here are the stats you get. 350 health, 25 ability haste, isn't it like 5% movement speed, 80 ability power, and the passive, which is when you damage somebody, you get 40 to 60 movement speed. This is an incredibly strong item. I am building this a lot right now. No, it's not core. I'm not building it every game, but I use it as my utility item into movement speed heavy team comps. Crypt Bloom is actually going to, for me, go into the game reliant team comp or category. Crypt Bloom is really, really good. Yes, it gives you damage, whereas Abyssal Mask doesn't. But Abyssal Mask also gives you a team shred, whereas Crypt Bloom doesn't. Crypt Bloom only gives your magic pin to yourself, which is really good. It also gives your team that giant AoE circle or whatever. Here's the issue. I personally think Abyssal Mask is just better right now. I really do. I think Void Staff is better. If you just want a nuclear option, that extra 10% magic pin does make a big difference. I'm not a huge fan of Crypt Bloom. Can you make it work? Absolutely. I personally just don't like it. Dark Seal and Medjai's are actually going to get two separate treatments here because I think they are two very different items. Dark Seal you should be building, in my opinion, every single game. Leave it in an item slot the entire game. Just let it even if you get 0 stacks on Dark Seal. Fun fact about Dark Seal costs 350 gold when you purchase it. It has 420 gold worth of gold value in terms of the stats it gives you. So it is immediately gold efficient as soon as you buy it, and if you get stacks on it, it helps you obviously clear your jungle and fight a lot easier. If you ever get to 10 stacks, it also opens the option. Let's go ahead and just jump to Medjai's here. No, this is out of alphabetical order, but it opens the option to go to Medjai's, okay? Medjai's for me is game reliant. Okay, no, it's not a build every game. Even if I have 10 stack Dark Seals, there are some team comps, like if I need anti-healing and I need an Abyssal Mask, those are my 2 item slots, and I don't want to use up a Mela Namicon or a Medjai's slot in order to take that away from me. Medjai's is really good. You should not be upgrading every game, especially games where you're even or behind. Yes, it allows you to carry. Yes, it allows you to snowball. Yes, it's really, really good on Udyr. Yes, there's a lot of challenger Udyr players that build Medjai's very often. It's a very good item, but it's a game-reliant item, and I would not encourage you to upgrade it unless you think you can win in the first 25 minutes. Like, if you have an extremely snowbally early game, then getting a Medjai's is actually a pretty good idea. If your team comp has any sort of viability late game, though, in my opinion, this item tends to be a trap because as soon as you die, it opens up the enemy team for getting a huge, huge gold swing on you. Leandre's is core, enough said. We could talk about the fact that the best farm item builds into it, Faded Ashes. We could talk about it's a 6% damage amp, right? Keep in mind the Haunting Guy's passive. You just get a 6% damage amp. You also get the incredible Leandre's passive, which helps you burn people down. It helps you burn camps down. This is core. You are building Leandre's first game or first item every single game if you're in the jungle, and if you're mid lane, it's usually second item after Malignant. Leandre's, in my opinion, is about as core of an item as you can get. This is a do not skip until they nerf it item. It is required beyond core. Like, you know, Abyssal Mask and Dark Seal, do you have to build these? No. Leandre's you have to build. Like, if we had an extra category up here, I would put it up there, you know. Horizon Focus is a don't build. It sounds theoretically good on AP Udyr. Really, really bad. I've tested it a lot. It just, the numbers don't number. The math doesn't math. It's not enough gold value, and other items just outperform it, and it wastes one of your item slots. Lich Bane is actually, like I mentioned earlier, going to go into the strong or substitute flex category. You can build an entire build around Lich Bane. And frankly, if Leandre's wasn't so strong, I think Lich Bane would be our core item right now. Lich Bane just, unfortunately, if you play top Udyr, I'm going to add a caveat. Top Udyr loves Lich Bane. Mid Udyr kind of likes Lich Bane. But if you play top Udyr, Lich Bane might be core on you. But until they nerf Leandre's, Lich Bane is going to be strong substitute flex. No, it's not something I'm really building that much. I think other items outperform it. However, it is still an incredibly good item on Udyr, and other items just need to get nerfed a little bit, and I think we'll see Lich Bane be the core item. In terms of Ludin's is a bad idea. No, it's not a don't build. I've tested this item quite a bit. It's really, really good into certain, immobile team comps, especially if you've got a lot of cooldown. And you can cycle your Awaken R with Malignants. If you do like a Malignants Ludin's build, it's pretty good. But in my opinion, there's just better items. It strictly comes down to an item slot thing. This item just does not perform better than other items. Malignants. Let's talk about Malignants. So Malignants, if you don't know, Ultimate Haste applies to your passive on Udyr. It's the same reason why we build Experimental Hexplate on Tiger Udyr. It's the same reason we build Malignants on Phoenix Udyr. Malignants is dang near core. We mentioned, of course, this golden recipe. Utility item. I am often building Malignants just to get extra Awakening cooldown. If they have a lot of melees and you can just burn them down without them ever getting near you, this item is a core item. Obviously, it's 2,700 gold too, which is just like, come on. I don't know why AP items are a full. In order to build Steraks on Tiger Udyr, I have to spend 3,200 gold, right? That's a whole 500 gold less just to get an AoE that'll make it to where the person that builds Steraks never can get near me because I'm just casting Awaken R, right? So this is an incredible item, super good item. Cannot stress enough, should be building it. Let's go ahead and go through the boots. The boots are going to look like this. In my opinion, there are sorcerer boots that you could consider. I do not recommend people to build sorcerer boots. The reason why I put boots in this tier graph to begin with is I wanted you guys to know that Swifties are incredible, especially with Dark Seal, because they help you keep your stacks, right? You're faster, you're slipperier, it's hard for them to kill you. Next rung down, though, Merc Treads and Ninja Tabbies, Plated Steel Caps, whatever you call them, they're really, really good against the right team comps. And then after that, consider the rest of the boots. So, of course, cooldown boots. There's like Synchronous Souls this, this season. There's all sorts of boots options. But I think boots goes like this for AP Udyr, and I would encourage you to build Swifties. More than you're building defensive boots, the higher elo you climb, the better defensive boots get, though. But if you're diamond or below, Swifties are going to be your best bet. Mela Namicon is game reliant. It has 90 ability power. Here's the thing with Mela Namicon, though. It is 2,200 gold, people. It is super, super cheap. So if you are behind and they have a lot of healing, it's the best item in the game you can build. That's why it's not a bad idea. It's a good idea, and yes, it cuts off healing, but it's not a, it ain't gonna make you delete somebody. Nashers Tooth is a bad idea. When we're playing AP Udyr, we never want to be in melee range. In my humble opinion, attack speed is a dead stat on AP Udyr because you're never really auto-attacking. You're just casting Awaken R and then standing back and laughing. So Nashers Tooth not only doesn't fit the playstyle, it's an item that gets out-damaged by other items, and it gets outscaled because auto-attack champions naturally get more outscaled. If you just build raw AP, you will do so much better, I promise. Protobelt is actually going into strong flex right now. It's 2,600 gold, 400 health. It's got a dash. If you want to make a build around Protobelt, you absolutely could, especially my top and mid lane Udyrs. I personally don't build this item because I prefer the nuclear option, the one-shot builds. However, this item gets the same treatment as Lich Bane. If Leandre's burn builds weren't as strong, I think Protobelt or Lich Bane might be our core item. These two items are incredibly, incredibly strong. Deathcap is core. You got to build a Deathcap every game if you're trying to play AP Udyr. In my humble opinion, you will never get enough damage without it. Even if you're playing Bruiser Udyr like Leandre's Riftmaker, Abyssal, let's say you go Deadman's, you put a tank item in there, and then you get Deathcap last item. That is still perfectly fine, but you have to have Deathcap. This might as well, it's Leandre's Deathcap for me, are 1 and 2 in terms of gotta have them in your build. Cannot skip these two items. Deathcap is required if you're going to try and carry. Riftmaker is game reliant. I am not actually going to put Riftmaker into a strong category. I think it's a trap on AP Udyr. You get it for the healing, so if they have a lot of melees and a lot of bruisers, this item is super good because the healing works really well. If you end up, in terms of runes, I'm either playing Dark Harvest or Conqueror. If you have Conqueror and Riftmaker, it's super good. But I'm usually building Riftmaker last item. If anything, it's a game reliant item. It is much better on Tank Udyr. We'll get into this. I'm, like I said, making a different video for Tank Udyr. But on AP Udyr, this item just is not as good. Rod of Ages. I'm actually going to put it into the strong category. It is a strong item. There's no two ways about it. It's 2,600 gold. Incredibly good on Udyr. Like, if we didn't have other good options, Rod of Ages might be the first item we build. It is that good on Phoenix Udyr. Unfortunately, it's more of a lane item, so I see top Udyrs using it more than jungle Udyrs. Once again, if we see a Leandre's nerf next season, I would not be surprised to see a Rod of Ages build come out with how important experience is. Void Staff is a game-reliant item. I personally think Abyssal Mask is just better than Void Staff at the moment. However, once again, nobody on your team does any sort of magic damage. Abyssal Mask is kind of wasted because the magic pin gets applied only to yourself, so you might as well just get the 90 ability power. Since we're building Deathcap every single game, the 90 ability power from Void Staff gets extra stats. It's actually like, 140-something, 145 ability power, give or take. 135 ability power versus the 90, so it's extra gold value. Works really well. Unfortunately, I think Abyssal is a better item. Seraphs is a bad idea unless you're top Udyr, in which case I'm actually going to put it at game reliant. If you're in a lane that you just need to have a ton of mana, like let's say it's like a Mundo or something, Seraphs is actually pretty good. On top lane Udyr. As jungle Udyr, it's a bad idea though. Would not encourage you to build it. Yes, you can still do it. No, it's not going to be miserable, but it's just a bad idea. Shadow Flame is core, guys, and here's the issue with AP Udyr. You've already got like 6 freaking items that are incredible, right? If you build all of these items every single game, you could get away with it. Build Swifties and Darksteel just to get the snowball going, and eventually sell Darksteel and just build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 of those items. You'd be good to go, dude. It's got Magic Pen in there. It's got Malignants in there. It's got Shadow Flame in there. Like, this is a super good build on AP Udyr, that top row, which is why it's so, like, AP Udyr, you've got all these items, but all of these are, like, unskippably good. That's the issue. They are unskippably good. Like, Deathcap just outperforms Lich Bane. It just does, and that sucks. But unfortunately, you need the Deathcap in your build because it outperforms the Lich Bane. The Abyssal tends to outperform every other Magic Pen item. Even though we've got, fun Magic Pen items down here like Void Staff and Crypt Bloom, I'd still rather build Abyssal because it's 2,500 gold and it buffs the team. It's just a better item, Let's take a look at Storm Surge. Storm Surge is actually about to get buffed. I'm going to put into... This is tough. I'm going to put into bad idea. Here's why. Cosmic Drive is just a better item. And we usually build Shadow Flame, which already has Magic Pen on it. A huge reason why you go Storm Surge is for the Magic Pen, right? We're already got Magic Pen on the Shadow Flame, and Shadow Flame's about to get buffed. We don't need it. I'm just going to put it as a bad idea. It's very fun. Cosmic Drive is outperforming the item at the moment, though, just because of the health. So there's that. And then, of course, Zonia's is always... forever and will always be a game-reliant item. It's not something you build every game, but if they've got a Zed or a Talon, it might be your best in slot item because it keeps you alive. So there's that. So this is the AP itemization. Obviously, if you don't see any item here, if you see, it's because it's a tank item or it's an AD item, like Gwynsu's Rageblade, even though it's got AP. Any of those items are all immediately going to be in bad idea or below. If you're trying to play a damage carry version of Udyr, you need to be building damage. These are the items we're building. Like, that's the full build, is the top row, unless you want to substitute stuff in and out, of course, or put game-reliant items in, like anti-heal instead of Malignants. You can do that, no issues at all. All right, let me flip these items around, and we're going to go ahead and create a little jungle tier path video on how to itemize into the champions here. All right, what we're looking at here, I have gone ahead and filled out all these champions similar to last week. Kind of what I've done is I've given us 4 different build orders that you can go depending on the matchup, and then this bonus category at the bottom is Master Yi and Viego. This is called the Just Play Tiger. In my humble opinion, you should never try and play full AP Udyr into either of these champions. they're just way too strong against you, and they're meant to kill full squishy champions that are melee like you. In my opinion, just play Tiger, and you kind of flip the tables where Tiger does really well into Yi and Viego. Phoenix tends to get clapped a little bit. So let's take a look at this first category. The top category, this red category, is your top DPS build. This is essentially Leandre's into Shadowflame into Deathcap. It's going to give you 600 ability power by the time you hit your 3-item spike, more if you've got a stacked Darksteel. And of course, this type of build is best into champions that are slow, immobile, squishy, those that can get kited very easily, or those that have to be in melee range in order to do significant damage. As a result, they tend to just get stuck in your Awaken R and will burn to death. These type of champions include Vi, who tends to just engage and get stuck there. Brand, who is actually extremely similar to our friend Karthus. You'll notice Brand and Karthus are in this top category because Brand and Karthus got no gap closer. If they ever get near you and you Awaken R, they will get stuck in the middle of it and just burn to death. Kha'Zix and Nocturne are extremely similar in that they duel you. Olaf same, but if they get stuck in the middle of an Awaken R, or they get caught low on health, you can lightning Q them down and execute them very quickly. Graves only has 1 dash and is weak to magic damage. He tends to get stuck. So that's your DPS build, right? Second row down is what I consider your movement speed build. This is the, okay, I need to pause some damage in order to get some movement speed. Otherwise, my life is going to be miserable in the mid game. These type of champions include Kindred, Hecarim, Lilia, Shyvana. Cosmic will also help you power farm, so this is a pretty good power farm build as well. It does well into Hecarim for the same reason. Champions like Cho'Gath and Gragas, yes, they're a little slippery, but after they use their cooldowns, you can kill them as long as you've got movement speed, and Cosmic kind of fills in that gap for you in the mid game. Then, of course, third item, we're building Deathcap no matter what on every single one of these builds. Third row down, this is what I consider your bruiser build, but your bruiser you can still fight. So these are the type of champions that have strong frontline presence. You can't burst them down. They also have the ability to dash away or get out of your Awaken R, or they're tanky enough to survive by standing inside it with a Canic Rookern. These champions include Malphite, Ornn, Jarvan, Gwen, Kayn, Poppy. Even Rengar is kind of slippery, especially with jungle fights. I just suggest building a Riftmaker second into Deathcap third. This will give you the healing from Riftmaker. It will also give you enough damage to be able to kill them and not slow down your mid-game tempo at all. With Leandre's and Riftmaker, you're going to have a nice 700 health buffer to where they can't burst you, but you're also going to get enough sustain with hopefully Conqueror and Riftmaker to be able to survive. By the way, I take Conqueror every single game, or I take Dark Harvest every single game, except for this middle row. I tend to play Conqueror into just these champions. Sometimes this bottom row, I'll play Conqueror, but I'm a Dark Harvest player at the moment on this playstyle. Last row, this is what I consider. They've got hard engage. It's hard for you to kill them. You can still play AP Udyr, but in order to help you out, you're going to go Malignant second, so you can get the extra haste on your awakening earlier in the game rather than later. And we're going to play kind of like an ADC. We're playing on the back line, and we're looking to punish bad engages more than we're looking to proactively, flash Awaken R or something like that. These champions include Mundo, Amumu, Maokai, Xin Zhao, because Xin Zhao ultimate, he'll knock you back if you get near him right, or he'll, if he knocks you away with Awaken R on him, he'll negate all the damage. You've got Zac. Ivern tends to keep his entire team at full health. Sejuani and Sion take forever to kill. So against these champions, you really just want to be having a Malignance and play for having your Awaken R up as much as possible. So these are the 4 builds I really do. The last video, some feedback I got was everybody's asking, Willie, what do you do after these 3 items? I've got a great suggestion for you guys. You should go back 10 minutes in the video and just plug and play any of these items in the order that you see them. So after you build your first 3 items, just keep building out of this top row or this second row. Build whatever you want depending on the game. If you need anti-healing, you of course can go down to the third row and look for game reliant items. As long as you pick and match the items from these top 3 rows, for the game you're in. I can't tell you, because some games Zenos is going to be better than Abyssal Mask. Some games Abyssal Mask will be your best bet, 4th item. Some games it's going to be build straight damage because they have no way to deal with you and you're snowballing, right? Some games it's going to be a Mejai's. It really just depends on the game you're in and the team comp you're in versus the enemy team comp as well. Also, the side of your map that you're on also plays into it. You know, if you're red side, for instance, you might want to rush straight damage and go for an early 22-minute Dragon Soul and just kill dragons as soon as they spawn as fast as possible. If you're playing like that, you want full damage, so just build a Deathcap, Shadow Flame, you know, Void Staff, pick up, you know, a Riftmaker last item, and you're good to go. Some games you need the utility of Malignants and Zonias, so put those 2 in your build. You got lots of options, and that's the fun of playing Udyr. Is there's really item 4, 5, and 6 are entirely up to you. Sometimes you can even skip boots and go Cosmic Drive if you want to have fun, right? So lots of ways to do it. There's no one right way to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, I always tell people, but I don't make YouTube videos every day. I do stream every day. If you go to twitch.tv/WilliefknP, we have a good time over there. You'll see we are growing. We're having a lot of fun. I try and post VODs as well. Some days I stream without the music on, so you'll be able to, of course, watch those streams back in real time and all that good stuff. But thank you for being here. I'll be making, at some point, probably not soon, I'm going to try and get a gameplay video up next week. In addition, I'm going to get a video with Nora up this next week, hopefully, and then we're also going to do a tank video next week in terms of tank itemization. So if you want to see, all right, Willie, how to play the meta tank Andy Leandre's full tank build, I'll make a video on that next week, and we'll go through all that stuff. But thank you for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for ya.